Good day. Today we're here with Rice and Beans with Chizom, and she has just informed us that she is Nigerian, but today she's going to share her perspectives on Black America. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for coming today.
Of course.
So, why don't we just start getting into the nitty-gritty?
Okay.
So what is this thing you told me about President Daniels?
Oh, wow. So, I'm a part of the Black Student Union, and we got invited to his house for dinner. And it was kind of just set up so that we'd be talking about a few key issues that we've been having to deal with these last couple of months. And so we got into the discussion. I remember I prefaced it by requesting that it's discussion based and we're not being lectured to by him. So the first student, and mind you, it was 20 students from the Black Student Union and about 10 administrators.
Oh, so it's just a full mixer?
Yeah. And so one of the freshmen asked a question about hiring Black faculty. And that was the first question that was asked, and it took about 40 minutes for him to answer the question. The dinner was supposed to be over at 8:30. He finished answering the first question at 8:15.
Oh, wow.
Which was not great. So then we asked a follow-up question regarding the police force and about how the different changes they've made to the bill have been how it's been affected by the community.
So what is this? Let's bring up this police force because Rice and Beans has a nice little fan base that's outside of Hopkins. They might not know what we're talking about.
Right.
So Hopkins has been thinking about through the legislature and through all the boards and administration of hiring a greater private police force to patrol this campus and the medical campus, which is down in East Baltimore. And there are forces on both campuses that are opposed to it. And it seems like the administration is in favor of it, and they're steamrolling ahead. The school managed, or the general population, the student bodies managed to postpone it a little bit through a petition, but it still seems like they're trying very hard to make this happen.
Yeah.
All right.
So we brought up the first time he brought up the fact that we were able to get it postponed. The first time that they pushed it, which was back in March, we were able to get it postponed, and then they kept talking about how they've changed the bill multiple times in the past couple of months, and so I just asked what these changes were and how they've taken people's community input into account.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt again, but so why are people opposed to this bill?
So a lot of people are opposed to this bill because number one, the big obvious factor about it is we're inviting a police force onto this campus that already has a history of racially profiling students and putting students, especially students of color, into situations where they're seen as a threat when they're not. A lot of the security alerts that are sent out, because we do live in the middle of the city, there is crime, so a lot of the security alerts that are sent out are very vague, and they say Black man, 5'10", red sweatshirt or something, and that matches half of my friends. So it creates a threat there, and then you're weaponizing something that's already really dangerous. And then on top of that, the school has a history of not having accountability where accountability is due. I think also a lot of students have brought up the fact that there are a lot of different areas where the school can address student safety and student wellness on this campus, whether it's sexual assault, which this week a whole lot of stuff popped up with that, with the sexual assault website where you would report your cases.
They lost in the New York Times actually.
That website where students have been reporting their cases lost 18 reports.
Lost in quotes here.
Which is just crazy. And there's just a lot that they could be doing otherwise, and that's what a lot of people are realizing.
So the point is that we don't feel like the administration will be able to handle this. They will not be able to control this police force.
And it's not, and not only that, but it's just not the right route to take, because a lot of us here are studying public health. It's really contradictory for our classes to be teaching us how over-policing and inviting, weaponized forces into impoverished.
So it's in contrast to what they're teaching in the classroom.
My degree from this university is contrasting what this university wants to do.
I see. Wow.
It's really weird.
How about that for hypocrisy? All right, now back to the dinner.
Right. So he was he went on a tangent when I asked him about the changes that have been done. He never really answered it. So when I asked a follow-up question, I was like, what other alternatives are you considering the fact that so many people are against it?
Okay.
And he said, well, no one has really presented me with any other alternatives. And I was like, well, that's not true, because people have brought up how you can address sexual assault, how you can make more mental health resources available on campus, how you could increase accessibility for students with disabilities on this campus.
Did they bring up numbers as a response?
Yeah, they said that in the fall of last year there was a spike where there was 30 to 40 incidences of crimes happening around our campus and around the East Baltimore campus in the span of 3 months. And so they cited that as like a spike.
As like a reason, an incentive for the police force?
Yeah, but the thing was, like, he had like a list of all the different crimes that were happening this last month in East Baltimore. And I was like, okay, but do you have a similar list that's as detailed as the one that you're reading off right now for sexual assaults on this campus? Probably not.
Very interesting point there.
Probably.
If I was in his shoes, I would be aghast. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do. I would go to one of my 20 advisors and say, "Hey, what's my say?"
Right. And so I was like, I don't think that's true that no one's proposing alternatives.
Yeah.
And then I brought up the fact that, like, not only have students brought up alternatives, but the community has brought up ways that you can involve yourself into Baltimore as a city, especially since all of the crimes that he cited when he was reading off of his list, and a lot of the ones that they keep talking about wanting to quell are financially driven, whether it's like muggings, robberies, the carjacking that affected us directly over the summer. They're all driven by money. Yeah,
let's talk about incentive, like why they're proposing this force.
I think that they want to propose it because a lot of people that come to this school are from more wealthy backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so Baltimore has this reputation of being a dangerous city. And I think that if people hear, they have a police force, it's safe, they'll want to come more. Even though the reality of it is that I don't feel like I'm in danger going to school here. I never have.
The way I like to think about it is that you think of Baltimore, you think of Johns Hopkins as an institution, and like, wow, this is so prestigious. Like, wow, well, the only thing stopping me from going here is its location. Exactly. Baltimore is crime-ridden. You remember the riots, blah, 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 which were blown up by the media, by the way.
Right.
But that's one of the biggest incentives, not only bringing in new students, but new faculty.
Right.
And I think that's what they're trying to attack with this exact initiative.
Yeah, but it's just not the right way to go about it.
Yeah, because it's in contrast to the well-being of the students that are already here, and possibly the faculty as well.
I'm sure it looks great on paper.
Yeah, no, but definitely. They're only thinking on paper.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Exactly. And it's really unfortunate, and I think all the discussions that we have, all the testimonials that we share aren't going to be enough to sway the desire to make Hopkins public appearance look better, but it's just it's just not fair as a student to have your best interests be secondary to reputation.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough to actually come up with optimistically a compromise between these both sides.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to happen. So when I brought up the fact that a lot of community members have been localizing ways for Hopkins to get involved in the city, he got really mad.
He got mad?
He got really mad, and he snapped. President Ronald Daniels. And so he was
snapped, huh?
He was like, I get so irritated when people say that we do nothing for the city. I find it very insulting, not just you making direct eye contact with me, saying, I find it very insulting when people like you say that that we don't do anything for the city. And I was like, I didn't say you don't do anything for the city. And he's like, yes, you did. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
I was like, I just stopped. I just stopped talking.
This is a side of this guy we've never seen before.
Yeah, I just let him keep going. And he was like, it's just, we've done so much. We've done so much for the city, and it's just so irritating. I sit so patiently during these forums, listen to what everyone says.
Oh, he just really snapped.
He went off. And
oh, wow.
It's so frustrating to have to be told the same thing when it's not true. Yeah. And he was like, we have Henderson Hopkins, which is a school that they built in East Baltimore, where the priority for enrollment went to people living in the surrounding neighborhoods, which are impoverished neighborhoods. And I didn't know this at the time, but my friend who knows a little bit more about the Henderson Hopkins school was like, okay, Henderson Hopkins is a mess, and it did not help the city. And I wish I'd known that, but essentially when they built Henderson Hopkins, they had to displace, it's basically gentrification, they had to displace a lot of the people in the community, and they had to move really far out to be able to find housing. And so because they live so far out now from Henderson Hopkins, they don't have the transportation to get to the school. So they may have first priority, but they can't go because they live so far out. So it's like,
that brings up like a bigger, just the general issue of the coexistence between Hopkins and then just the rest of Baltimore and the communities as well. And that's both of these things we've been discussing, the police force and this Henderson Hopkins thing, and just in general, like Hopkins giving back to the city, they're both very illustrative of this point. But I think it's very, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm trying to empathize. I'm trying to put myself into Ron Daniels' shoes.
Mm-hmm.
This is hard. This is a hard problem.
Yeah.
Having the coexistence of these two forces here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not going into politics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough to especially keep up that facade. I was initially surprised, but I'm thinking about it more. How much effort and energy this guy has to keep up to put on that Ron Daniels, like, so I've never seen him not smiling before.
Right.
So, jeez. But yeah, that was, I hope that the future looks brighter with this, and that Hopkins is actually looking to, because as an institution, it just seems like their motivations are kind of superficial in terms of spreading the name, the Hopkins name. Because I guess they've been doing a good job historically, because Hopkins is up there next to Harvard and NIH in terms of prestige.
Right.
But in reality, and what we didn't see from the outside until we went into the inside is what Hopkins really is, not only to us as like students, faculty members, staff, employees, whatever, but also their impacts on their neighboring communities.
Exactly.
So I think we should be very grateful for our position here, because we can sort of see, like, we know the face of this school, but now we know the inside.
Right.
Do you think we can leverage this viewpoint into many other things?
I would hope so. I mean, I think it's a lesson learned as well to, like, I know that Hopkins was my dream school, and so I think it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I worked really hard to come here, and I remember crying the day I found out that I came here, and then I'm here now, and I don't know. It's like, it makes me sad. Like, it makes me really sad, because I think that the school does a lot of great things and is capable of doing a lot of great things, but it's just like, I don't know, you see the motive, like the ways, you see like the ways in which they've gotten to this point, and like some of them are just, I don't know how to explain it.
I think I know what you mean. It's like if you're an employee at Disney, then you just kind of like get disillusioned. Everything that you've been trying to get into, like the magic from behind the scenes, doesn't look so magical, I guess. But I guess that's life, isn't it? Okay, let's talk about racial profiling. So first off, what is racial profiling?
So racial profiling is essentially, I guess in the context of what we would be talking about, it's mostly people of color being unfairly targeted when it comes to being suspected of a crime or being suspected of some sort of wrongdoing. So what you will see is like maybe there'll be maybe like a white person versus a black person walking down the street at night with a hoodie, and the white person may not be seen as a threat, but the black person might.
Okay.
So
and then do you know anyone who has been racial profiled?
Yeah.
And has shared their experience with you?
Yeah.
And do you feel comfortable telling us about it anonymously, of course?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
So I had a friend who they were a student here. They were an underclassmen, so they had access to the dorms, and they went into one of the dorms that they didn't live in, but they had access to it. It was before midnight, and they got signed in. Everything was good, and they went upstairs with one of their friends, and for whatever reason, they thought that he didn't go here, which was odd.
Yeah.
And so they went up to the girl's room to try and find them. The girl and him had gone downstairs to hang out with a large group of people. They were playing like games and stuff like that. And so when they went up to the girl's room to try and get him to clarify his identity, and he wasn't there, they thought that he was hiding, or like she was hiding him, or they were just trying to evade.
All these assumptions are based off racial profiling, are they?
Right. Yeah, I would assume so. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've never heard of like this happening. I mean, it's just a weird series of events. So they were all downstairs. They were chilling, and I guess the security guards, because they thought he was hiding or evading, I don't know. They decided to call, this is part that I don't understand. They decided to not call Hop Cops, but call BPD. And so BPD came when they found him. They escorted him out of the building, even though he had every right to be there.
Did he had his
Hopkins
ID and everything?
Student there, underclassmen, had every right to be in the building. It wasn't past midnight. Like everything was fine. There was no reason why he should have been escorted out.
But then what happened after that?
I mean, that was just that about that. He was very upset. He was treated as if he was like a threat. I mean, like it's.
Did he try to bring it up to administration?
So he did bring it up to administration. And it's one of those things that just kind of fell dead in the water. He brought it up again to President Ron Daniels when the private police issue happened. And for whatever reason, President Ron Daniels said that he had never heard of it, which is wild because the student did bring it to all the necessary offices that he would have needed to bring it to. And not only did no one resolve it, but apparently
it wasn't even acknowledged. Wow.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Yeah. And there's plenty of other times. I know another one of my friends, he lived off campus, and he was entering his building, and someone who happened to be white pulled out a knife on him and just like showed it to him as a threat.
Yeah.
So he called security. He called, I think it was Hop Cops, not EPD. He called Hop Cops. They came, and when they were interviewing both him and the person who pulled a knife on him, he noticed that they were kind of victim blaming him and asking him questions that were like, "What did you do to make what did you?
What did you do to provoke this guy?" I see what you mean.
And nothing came of it. No one. He didn't receive any sort of repercussions.
Yeah.
And in fact, my friend wound up leaving feeling as though he should have never reported it.
Yeah, and that just perpetuates itself.
Yeah.
That stinks. So what would you? So for a person who has the privilege of not having to be racially profiled, what would you, if you had any advice to give them, any insight, anything to give them a more broad perspective on this matters like these, what would you tell them?
I would say just know that it sounds, I don't know, when you hear racially profiled, you hear people being racially profiled, or you hear these scenarios, it's really hard to believe that it's true.
Yeah.
But people, it's one of those things that people don't want to experience, so I don't think people would want to say this happened to me, because it's really traumatic.
Yeah, and it doesn't
really
seem like
upsetting.
something that people want to talk about.
It's not, and that's why a lot of students, especially on this campus, don't talk about it. People don't really hear about it, which is something that I've been trying to at least give people confidence to want to talk about it, because it's important.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think that it's really hard to hold people accountable for changing that atmosphere if they don't even know that it's a problem. So I would say
well said.
So I would say that I don't know, making sure that people know about it and people outside of the community know about it. They know what's happening, know that it is happening, it's real, it's out there, and being open to hearing it.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your perspectives. This has been Rice and Beans. Hello, listeners. I'm addressing you now. I hope you guys have learned something from today's episode. If not, we got more episodes coming, and you can always replay the episode. So, as always, check out our new updated list of weekly selections on our Facebook page. And don't forget, we got that playlist. It now has around 470 songs since we started this radio show about 3.5 years ago. So check that out too. And see you later, alligators and gatoresses. And shout out Shizome for coming. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
All right, bye-bye.